Have you ever been told that you're overreacting in a situation and then later you found out that you were actually overreacting? Or have you ever acted out when you've gotten angry and then said things that you regret? Or have you ever said something really just impulsive that you regret later and wish you'd taken some time to think before you said it out loud? Or do you find yourself unable to sleep at night because you're staying up ruminating and worrying about something that you have no control over? This is all evidence that you might be driven by your emotions, which could be due to some irrational beliefs. And we also call these cognitive distortions or limiting beliefs. And I'm going to teach you the ABC model of rational thinking. And this is a way to learn to use rational thinking to respond in situations in a more healthy way. So a lot of people aren't aware of the link between our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. We just have a thought, we believe it, we act on it, and we don't stop to think, is what I'm thinking actually true? So I'm going to teach you the ABCs of rational thinking. It's a great way to just check yourself when you're feeling an anxious thought or a thought about worrying, or before you act out, you can stop and ask yourself, is my thinking actually rational in this situation? Is what I'm believing actually true? And I'm going to give you an example and walk you through this so you'll know how to do it easily by the end of this video. In the ABC model of rational thinking, the A stands for activating event. So it basically just means anything happens. I hear a door slam. My partner walks in the door and walks upstairs. It's just anything happens. And the B stands for a belief about the event. So we come to conclusions about what we think something means, and it happens automatic. We believe something about the event automatically. These are automatic thoughts. We don't have control over this. And then the C stands for consequence, and this is a feeling that happens after this thought train occurs. So it's an event happens, I believe something, and then there's a feeling, a consequence. And this happens like that. It happens so fast. We don't have much control over it. But what we can do is move through the D and the E. The D stands for disputing the belief. Is what I'm believing about the situation actually accurate? And then see what the outcome is, which is the E. The E stands for the effect, the final effect of being able to walk through the ABCs and question ourselves. So I'm going to give you an example. Okay, let's just say that you've started dating again. Let's say that you stayed single for a year, you've started dating again, you feel like you're healthy and ready, and you've been talking to somebody for a couple of weeks. Seems like it's a good fit. They're supposed to be there to pick you up at 7 o'clock. And it's 7:25 and they haven't come to pick you up yet. Can you imagine how you might start feeling? Let's say you've texted them to see where they are with no response. So the activating event is you go on your first date. The person's supposed to be there to pick you up at 7:25. You could believe a lot of different things. Chances are you might be overthinking. So what are some things you might believe about that event? You could believe they had an accident. You could believe that they might have forgotten the time, that maybe they thought they were supposed to be there at 8. You could believe things like, this always happens to me. Why does this always happen to me? Or this dating thing isn't worth it. This isn't for me. Or you could believe something like, I'm a loser. Any number of things you could believe. You're probably going to believe a lot of things. And if you believe things like this, you're going to just feel like crap. So this is where the C comes in. What's the consequence for these beliefs? It's that you're going to probably be really down on yourself. You're going to feel depressed, super anxious. And then the way to walk through this is the D would be to dispute your belief. So actually go through the beliefs that you're thinking in this situation. Say, where's the evidence that they had an accident? So you're questioning your belief. Where's the evidence they actually had an accident? Well, it's possible. We just don't know. They could have had an accident, but we don't have all the information yet, right? Where's the evidence that they forgot the time of the date? we don't know. They could have. That could be what's happened, but we don't have enough evidence to be able to say for sure that's what's going on here. Or where's the evidence that this always happens to me? Okay, this is an example of like overgeneralizing. So actually, this doesn't always happen to me. I haven't dated in a year. This is the first time that's happened to me, and this hasn't happened before. So where's the evidence that this dating life isn't worth it? So just because one person is so far 25 minutes late for picking you up, that dating isn't worth it. And where's the evidence that I'm a loser? So this is a form of labeling. Just because one little thing happens that we label ourselves as a loser. Or if I feel like I'm a loser, I must be a loser, which there's no evidence for that. So, or you could be thinking he's a complete jerk, right? Or he or she. And where's the evidence that this person is a complete jerk? They could be, we just don't know yet. We don't know what the situation is. So let's say it works out okay. He shows up, he or she shows up at 7:30. It says, oh my gosh, I left my phone at home, then I got stuck in traffic, but it all works out okay. And you realized all these thoughts that you were having just, didn't have any evidence for them. And then some of you are going to be thinking, oh, maybe I need to get a friend to break into their house to steal their phone because I just sent them a bunch of really nasty text messages telling them what a jerk they are. Okay, so sometimes in situations like this, we do act really irrational and do things we regret later. And this is part of the ABCs, is learning how to take a step back and question our thoughts. So let's say in that situation, though, you are able to go through the ABC model and calm yourself and say, okay, like I don't have all the evidence here. I'm going to wait and see what happens. This doesn't feel great, but it doesn't mean I'm a loser. It doesn't mean he's a jerk. So you can actually like take a few steps back and lower your anxiety level and take a few deep breaths and not do anything impulsive or irrational or say nasty things to yourself. So, but let's just say worst case scenario, like he or she really doesn't show up. Let's say the activating event, you would go back to the A. The activating event is that the person that you're waiting for actually doesn't show up. Let's say like you don't hear from them. Let's say they completely ghost you. Okay, so then you go back to A, that's the activating event, and then your belief about that situation might be something like, like we said before, I'm a loser, he's a jerk. This always happens to me. I never want to date again. I've got the worst life. It could be those sort of thoughts. And then you would go to, the consequence of that would be that you're going to start feeling really depressed and anxious and feel terrible, like start, low self-esteem. Whereas you want to ask yourself, like, where's the evidence that just because this one person stood me up for this date and ghosted me, where's the evidence that makes me a loser or me undateable? There's no evidence of that. Actually, it's the opposite. That shows you more about the other person than it does about you. So in both of these scenarios, this is a great way to just walk through these things and notice your irrational beliefs, take a step back, and not respond to our beliefs about these situations. So you can use this for anything, and I'll give you some more examples in other videos of how to use this, but if we can learn to take a step back and notice our thinking that's causing these depressive thoughts or the anxiety or triggering us, and we can realize that we're acting in a way that's really not rational. And then over time, we can talk about reframing thoughts and what that looks like. And that's a big part of CBT therapy, is reframing thoughts. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and I want you to, practice using the ABCs, even like jotting down, throughout the day, something that triggered you and maybe what some of the irrational thoughts were and how you're able to go back and dispute those things to help yourself to feel better and get through the day making smarter choices. So thanks for watching this video on the ABCs of rational thinking. I hope it's been helpful, and I hope that you'll watch some of my other videos for tips on mindfulness, grounding skills, and breath work.